Hey everybody, Aaron J. Anderson here. In this video we are going to talk about, where's it at here? The Sony FE 50mm f1.8. So we lowered the light just to see if we can get the shadows off. Now with the flash off is what you see is what you get. When you turn the flash on, when I first got this lens, let me tell you this, first of all, the reason why I got this lens is mainly because I needed a backup to whatever main lenses that I'm going to use. It's always good to have a backup of everything, and lenses are the same thing. And why I got this one is because, first of all, it's inexpensive. That really caught my eye. I think it goes for like 250 bucks. I got it for 198 or something like that. The other thing is it's a 50mm, so that's a good focal length for all kind of different photography. You know, you could really use your feet to compose. You can do portraits by getting fairly close without too much distortion. And of course, you don't have to step back really far to get even like a full body shot or even like a couple people in a group. And it's small, it's lightweight, and you can put this in your bag and you just like never know it's there. So it's really, that's why I got it. When I got it in the mail, and just like, of course, any equipment you get, you want to try it out and all that stuff. So I put it on the Sony a7 III, which I'm recording this right now. I'm actually using the Tamron at 75mm f2.8 right now. And when I put this lens on the camera, I took a photo and I looked at it on the back of the screen and like, okay, it looks decent. Well, I started taking a few more just for just practicing with the lens and seeing what it can do. When I got back to the computer and looked at the files, the photos, I was like super impressed on how sharp this cheap little thing is. I mean, I had no idea it would be that good, right? So I started posting some of the photos I did on Facebook groups and other different, my website. A lot of people would comment and say, oh, it's a nice photo or whatever, but then there's also a lot of people that say, that lens is garbage, it's crap. What did other people say? Throw it out immediately. I mean, all these things. And I was like, I've been shooting since I was 16. I've had many cameras and many lenses, and my eyes don't deceive me. The lens looked really good, so I didn't understand why they were saying that. So then a couple more comments came in on different Facebook groups, and then so I started researching reviews on it, and sure enough, this has got a bad rap on this lens. And so most of the reviews, if not all, I can't say all because I don't remember, but most of the reviews, or all that I can remember, they reviewed this when it first came out. And I think it came out like maybe 2 years ago or something like that, maybe a year ago, I can't remember. But when it came out, it was, of course, it was new, and the Sony a7 III hasn't came out yet. So people were using this on the a7 II. And I had some comments of people saying that, oh, that, I had that lens, it was crap, and I asked them what camera are they using. It was an a7 II, and someone said, what firmware does the lens have? And I said, oh, good question, I don't even know. So when I looked at the back of the camera, it was version 03, and most of the reviews are people who when it just came out on version 1, I guess you'd call it, and on the a7 II, and all the comments I started getting was always that it was on the a7 II with no firmware updates. And I could tell you with firmware version 03 on the a7 III, the lens performs really good. I would say it's not, I can't say it's the best lens out there, but for the money, it's like super good. You could use that for professional shoots all the time. So anyways, when I got the lens, I said, you know what, I'm gonna use this lens on my next photo shoot, and I'm not gonna use anything else but that, and I'm gonna show you some photos as we're doing this. And when I was looking at I would take a photo and I looked at the back and said, this thing is like really good. Now some of the, I'm just gonna show you a few shots from that. And some of these are at f5.6, but some also are at f1.8, and they look ridiculously amazing to me. And so it was great. And the thing is, I was using eye autofocus on there, and I was holding the camera above my head and just completely relying on the eye autofocus. Here you'll see me kind of laying down, looking through the EVF, which I do a lot because I just feel like I need to look in through that to get shots, you know. But then a lot of the shots I also just held down and used eye autofocus on that, and it never missed, it never hunted. Now, out of all the photos that I took that day, of course there were a few that weren't sharp, but they weren't like more than any other lens or any other camera ever had. It was just operator error, I guess, little things like that, and it worked really good. So if you're looking up this lens and you look at reviews, make sure that you're looking at reviews that have it on the A7 III with firmware version 3, because that is what I'm using and it works great. So anyways, so I took it a little further and I started doing more photos with it, and I kept being shocked with the quality I was getting. And then, you know, a lot of the people in the Facebook group would say, wow, that lens is great, but I heard bad reviews about it. And the main thing that I heard about it was the noisy autofocus, and that it hunted and it was really slow. So right now I already did some low light test with this, autofocus test with a photo and video, but I'm gonna wrap them all up into this one specific video so that if anybody asks me about this lens, I can just give them the link to this video and they can see all the tests. I don't know if I'll run the tests completely through in here because it might be too long, but let's run a test that I did with just my first test with low light autofocus. And I'm not going to say any more because you'll see it in the video, but maybe I'll just in case, and I'll edit this out if I say it in the video. But I tested it with, of course, the Sony FE 50mm f1.8 up against the Sony 85mm f1.8. And I think I had the Sony 24-105 f4 and the Rokinon 24mm. That was my first test. And you're going to see that this does not fall far behind. So let's roll that real quick. Now, why I'm doing this test is a lot of people say that the autofocus on that cheap 50mm f1.8 Sony lens is awful, terrible, it doesn't work, and whatever. But we're just going to see how awful it is compared to these other two lenses. Now, what you're seeing on this camera, you see that ambient exposure here. You can see that little sailboat there. This is how dark the room is. This is what my eyes see it. And so it's in a very low light situation. We've got tungsten light going on. This is the Tamron, and now I'm just going to go ahead and focus on different objects in the room. Let's go. I'm focusing in the other room now. Okay, so this is the Sony 85mm f1.4, and I am shooting at f1.8 because that's what I would probably be shooting at in a low light situation. So we're, opening these up all the way, and I got the exact same exposure by lowering the ISO. And let's go ahead and start focusing with this and see what happens. Let's go to the other room now, right here. So this is the Sony 50mm f1.8. It's a very cheap lens. I fell in love with this lens, and this is why I'm doing these tests, to see how the performance is on this lens. Let's get started. In the other room. I'm in the other room now. Back to this room, back to that room. But as you can see, well, let me stop that. So as you can see, really, people say the focusing is crap on this thing. It's not crap. It works. I mean, it's a tad slower than the other lenses, maybe. You guys seen it for yourself. Nothing's set up here. Everything's the same, and it focuses really well. So yeah, if you don't think that's good enough, then so be it. But for me, it's absolutely great. So as you can see, I mean, it fared just not far behind those other ones. So for that price and the sharpness you're getting, it's really great. Now, there was another test I did with the autofocus with the Sony Zeiss 55mm f1.8 because that's more closer to the focal length and all that stuff. And so let me run that test real quick, and you're going to see that it's not far behind even that lens, which is 100% silent and all those things. And you can also, I think I had the audio going on these tests, and you can see if you can, what the noise sounds like, but let's play that. This is the Sony Zeiss 55mm f1.8 against this lens right here. So let's play it. Okay guys, so here is a low light test. We're going to do some focusing. Now this is the Sony 50mm f1.8. I actually missed those shoes. Okay, now let's try the Zeiss. So now we got the Zeiss, the 55mm, and let's go. Oops, I'm off frame. So you can see that the cheaper 50mm isn't all that bad with the firmware 0.3. So there you go. You can see again that even it's just not that far behind. Now, talking about the Sony Zeiss 55mm, I fell in love with that lens on my trip to Europe. Me and my wife went to Europe for 3 weeks, and I absolutely loved that lens. And I I didn't use this. I brought this as a backup. Well, I did a behind-the-scenes photo shoot of us taking some portraits on a cruise ship, and I compared each of the lens, and you can probably see while I'm talking, you can see that behind the scenes right there. And here's one shot in particular. The Sony 50mm is on the left, and the Sony Zeiss 55mm is on the right. That 55mm gives a little shallower depth of field. They both look absolutely amazing, and if you didn't show those side by side to anybody, no one would ever question one or the other, not just based on sharpness, just based on the look of it. It looks great, right? So I started, after that, I was like, wow. So I started doing more tests with this, and this test you're going to see here was 55mm on the left, and on the right, the 50mm. So you can see by zooming in, you can see that the Zeiss has a little more clarity to it, but yet these are zoomed in like what? 200% or more. And I mean, for one, clients will never do that. And for two, even if you do that, if you like to shoot and crop in like 200 or 300%, then absolutely get the Zeiss, because that's only the time you're going to see a difference. So this was holding up. And let's see what other tests I did here. This test here was with the 50mm against the Sony 24-105 at 50mm f4 and the Sony 24-105 at 105 at f4, just to get an idea of what's the background blur you get on this. So even because I had this as the backup to that zoom lens, and you can see the zoom lens even zoomed in all the way to 105 wide open at f4. Of course, you're getting more shallow depth of field with the Sony, and of course we all know that, but I thought I would throw that in there just so if you're out there, you know, thinking about these things, you can see that this little lens will give you really nice bokeh, and also you don't have to go as far. Like with that 105, I had to go way back, zoom way in, and you still can't get the shallow depth of field as you do on this. Now another test I did, it was, well, let's stick with the video. Let's see. I also use this for some jewelry shots of rings, and I'm going to display those right now. And what I use on these, I use extension tubes on here, and you'll find the link in the description on the extension tubes I use. And you can see how sharp this lens is even when you're doing macro shots with extension tubes. So, I mean, it's a really sharp lens. While we're talking about the Sony Zeiss 55mm compared to this, here's a test I did in a hotel room. We were in Europe somewhere, and I took a photo of a couch and pillow because it had some texture to the fabric, and you could see, I mean, it's almost indistinguishable, except the one on the left you can see is the Sony Zeiss 55mm, because that little wall socket you see there is just a tad blurrier because of that 55mm. But as far as sharpness, it's so close. Now, some people were saying that the Zeiss will kill this in sharpness. I mean, hopefully I'm proving that to you that it doesn't absolutely kill it. And in fact, when I started reviewing it for myself to see, am I the only one that sees this good? A lot of people, including myself, wide open, there's very little difference, as I showed you in my wife with the eyeball cropped in. Very, very little difference, only if you're cropping. And at around f2.8, I noticed that the Zeiss had sharper corners than this. And then once you start going beyond that, they start looking almost identically the same. I mean, it's so close that if you just want a sharp, fast lens, get the 50mm. It's absolutely amazing. If it's going to be your main lens, like that's your go-to lens, that's your moneymaker, that's a lens you're going to use to get paid for, then I would get the Zeiss, not only because it's better in every respect as this, although it's just a little bit better, but mainly that build quality, because maybe I'll get a close-up of this, but when this is on the camera and you focus, this front element actually comes in and out as it focuses, and that's the main issue that I had with this, because if you're focused and that element comes out a little bit, and if you're in like a sandy or even just like in the woods or a dirty situation and dirt gets in there and then you focus and it goes back inside, I'm just wondering if that would fail, if that would get clogged up and jammed in there. Now, one thing you could think of is if you're doing the shoot and it gets jammed, of course you're going to have to get another lens out. And by the way, it never happened to me. I'm just, if you're going to be doing professional shoot and someone's paying for you and you're relying on this, it's a little iffy for those purposes of the durability. But if you have other lenses on hand, then use it. And if you're getting paid, put it back in the bag and get something else if something happens to it. But for this price, you could buy like 3 more. If you drop this, let's say, you could still buy 3 more of these to come to the same price that the Sony Zeiss 55mm is. So if you don't got a lot of money, this is absolutely wonderful. Now, here's some more photos that I'll show while I'm looking for something here. I did a photo shoot with my wife for a magazine, as you can see in these photos here. And it really resolves really, really, really good. I mean, I was very impressed with it. Here's just a shot that I did. This was comparing the Sony 85mm f1.8 with the 50mm f1.8. And basically, the far left photo is the Sony 85mm f1.8. The far right is the Sony 50mm f1.8. And in the middle is me using the 50mm, this inexpensive 50mm, with the Super 35 crop mode in camera. And you can see that one in the middle. It still holds up the detail, not quite as sharp as that 85, but it's decent. So you could always use this lens and use the crop mode. And it's almost as if you have 2 lenses. You got like a 50mm and an 82mm. And you could still retain a lot of the quality, which is something to consider and really good. Now, when it comes to more video, someone asked me, can you do a video test of this lens because it's really loud in video mode? Because I wasn't particularly doing the video mode. And here's a quick test that I was just doing of junk in my office here and my dog. And I'm going to be quiet here so you guys can see if you can hear the motor noise. And someone said that's just awful loud, and by golly, I could barely hear it. And that's using the mic on the camera, which I never do. Like, I'm using a lav mic here. I almost never use the mics on the camera. But anyways, listen to this test, see how this works. And for me, it worked great. And you can see if you can hear it. So there, could you hear it? You could hear it going, so slightly. And if there's any music, if you're going to add background music, you're probably going to delete the track anyways. If you're going to film people talking, their talking is going to be louder than that noise that it makes. It focuses almost as quick as the other ones. It doesn't hunt any more often than the other lenses through my test. It's not that loud, it's sharp, it's fast, it's light, it's cheap, it's really good. Now, someone said, can you do a auto test in video of me walking toward the camera and stuff like that? So in this test, I just grabbed this real quick before I went to work of me walking to and from the camera, back and forth, in and out with this lens on there, going down and coming back up. And I'm gonna play that right now so you can see how this works. I'm on the autofocus speed, I still have it on normal, but on the track sense, I have it on responsive. We'll see how that works. I'm also using focus area wide. That way when I'm going out there, and I got face autofocus tracking on both of these tests, so keep that in mind. So we're just going to see how this works, and I'm going to walk that way and let's see. I don't want to step on my dog. So that's it. So there you have it, guys. You can see that this lens works brilliantly. It really does. It's so good. I mean, you've seen some of the shots today. I actually used those for two magazine shoots. I mean, I was very confident in using this. The only time I wouldn't be confident is if I'm going to use this in a dirty situation, is if I'm out if I'm just doing street photography or indoor shoots or just controlled shoots. I can use this all the time. But if I'm on the beach, probably not. Or if I'm in the woods and I just know it's going to be something dirty, I won't use it because of that in and out focusing thing right there. But that's about it, guys. Hopefully, I don't get paid by Sony. YouTubers say that all the time, and I'm one of them. I'm just trying to, tell you guys that you can buy a inexpensive lens and it really is good. Or you can look at this video and say, yeah, it's not quite to my standard. Then yeah, don't get it and get the other lenses. But if you have any questions, leave some comments and read the comments too, or not the comments, the description, because I'm going to put some links in there to this lens and whatever else, my website and all that stuff. And give me some thumbs up and please subscribe. It really helps me out. It encourages me to make more of these videos. And stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to talk about the Tamron 28-75 and my experience with doing a photo session for Boy Scouts of America. That's going to be coming up next. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.